another episode of the Cellcast.
Shorts!
Joining me today is a man who knows what it's like to be trapped in time. Welcome, Francisco.
Hello. And next to me is a man who knows what it's like to be a website. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you. I am PaulJPowers.com. And speaking of the Maestro himself, it's Drew Dodgen.
I think that's actually the first time my last name's been said on this show.
Oops, now people know.
If I don't show up again after this episode goes live, you know why. My good friend Jacob decided to get married, and I'm giving him some time off. But to make sure you also have content, I invited some friends on to talk about some different shorts that we normally wouldn't get a chance to talk about. So yeah, that's what's going on here.
You hear that, you slimes? We're friends.
Yeah.
Technically, Roy, that is true. So yeah,
Really starting out this way? This is really how we're starting.
maybe
Yep.
maybe it is.
Obviously.
Oh me. So yeah, why don't we go ahead and get started with this first one, if the music will ever stop.
No, I think we should just listen to the music. It should be the whole podcast, just the music.
I mean, I could just restart it here in a second when this goes off.
On a loop? All right.
I could, but yeah, it's almost done now.
All right, let's get into it. So my favorite shorts are cargo kind with lots of pockets.
But you know,
I mean, those are good.
I
I
like
do
shorts.
like those
They're
types of
comfy and
shorts.
easy to wear.
Yeah.
That's true. Though my wife's always on me about wearing shorts in the winter, so I'm not sure why that is, though.
I don't know how that works up there in Oregon.
Yeah, I was about to say you must have like leather legs or something that
I have a lot of hair on
my.
my legs, so
There you
that's
go.
what
That's
insulates me.
Insulation. There you go.
Yes, exactly.
And if you never go outside, it's fine.
I do walk my kids to school, so I do go outside in the morning rain. But it's
So
fun.
are you like Mr. Tumnus, where it's just like fur all the way down?
It's not that bad.
Oh,
It's so interesting that you mentioned Mr. Tumnus today, because I was watching Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe as
which
in the
version?
background.
Hang on.
The Disney Walden Media
Oh,
version.
What
Okay.
have you been watching?
If we're doing this, we might as well play
Oh, all right, yeah.
big for it.
Yeah, so I've been watching The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I think it came out in 2002.
Oh, the Disney one?
Yeah, the Disney one. It came out. It's contemporary
coming
with
from
Lord of the
you.
Rings. What was that?
Funny coming from you.
Yeah, well, this is before Disney went the way of the dodo, or
It was
it's
kind of
it's
on
currently
its-
going the way of the dodo, I should say. But I've been watching that. Watching some of my kids are starting to watch Fruits Basket.
Oh no!
So that's. I know.
Are you
there's-
teaching these kids how not to behave? Is
my
that what you're
gosh.
doing?
I think Toru behaves very nicely.
The
I think
the main protagonist lady. What's the female version
Toru.
of
Toru.
Whatever her name.
Protagonist is still the word.
Okay, protagonista is fine. She's great. I mean, she's lovely, and and talk about how to go forgiving your enemies, like kind of a thing.
Exactly. Yes.
That's great. But man, she had a lot of suffering in that, or at least
absolutely. I would agree with that.
And one of these days I'll watch that show and know what y'all are talking about.
I thought you had seen it.
No, this is one I don't think I've actually watched anything. I think I've seen one episode.
Gotcha.
Well,
So
if you
I
ask me,
saw
that's
her-
all you need.
I saw her I saw her have to clean that guy's house, and that's actually the house they're in. Never mind. Anyway.
I was about to say, is that the first? Anyway, yeah.
So
you're
anyway,
saying this happened multiple times.
I missed that. What'd you say, Drew?
Maybe moving on.
Okay.
But anything else I'm watching? I am watching. Also, me and Ashley and my bride are watching through The Middle, which is
That's a good show.
A show with Patricia Heaton, which is a lot of fun. Enjoying that. Watching through Rising the Shield Hero season 2. We were starting season 3, but then I realized I don't remember how we got to this point at all. So I got the season 1 and season 2 on Blu-ray for Christmas. So we're just using that as an opportunity to watch through it. Season 2. I remember season 1 very vividly, but season 2 I saw it once and don't really remember it so well. So So watching that, and I feel like I watched something else that was like, why did I waste my time watching this recently?
Yeah.
But I can't remember what it was. So, the Arnold documentary on Netflix I watched recently, which I wouldn't say was a waste of time, but you know how you have your Hollywood heroes, so to speak.
Oh no! And you know that saying, "Never meet your heroes." Is that the way this is
Very
going?
true.
So it's sort of like, I'd say, brought him down some in my purview, which I mean that's fine. I mean, really, my ideal should be Jesus, and anything that can knock anyone off the pyramid toward Jesus is probably a good idea. But
That's fair enough. I've only seen the first 2 episodes. I thought they were interesting. The first 2 episodes.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. They are interesting for sure.
Right.
All
So
right.
that's me. How about you, Paul? What are you?
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh!
On this completely unintentional what we're watching segment that I wasn't
Yeah.
planning originally to do tonight.
Honestly, I'm trying to rack my brain. I've been going through a lot of the anime that's been released recently. Nothing really to highlight that I think is special or spectacular. They just be kind of
Have either of you seen Goblin Slayer?
I have not.
no. Is that
I know
like
of it, but I was confusing it for a long time with Demon Slayer, which I have watched.
I've been curious to watch Demon Slayer, but no, this is Goblin Slayer's.
isn't
go
that
ahead.
Frodo's sword? Sting, the Goblin
Sting.
Slayer.
Yeah.
I think you're right, but no, this is completely different. I'm not, if you had seen it, I'd go into it.
I haven't
I
seen
liked
it.
the first season, except it was a bit fan servicey, which I didn't really care for. But I really liked the whole premise of there's this one dude, there's like these heroes, standard RPG tropes, a bunch of heroes going on quests. It's like more of an MMO RPG trope of all these heroes trying to go on quests through a heroes guild. But this one guy, all he wants to do is kill goblins. He doesn't care what level he is. He doesn't care how overpowered he is. He's just out to kill goblins because they killed his family. And I just really appreciate that. So he sort of gains a following because of his very focused
his one note that he
one
plays.
note. Exactly. So I like it. Anyway,
All right.
All right. Paul, what have you been watching?
no anime to speak of apparently.
Yeah. I'm going through there's a 4-episode documentary series on Amazon called Jonathan and Jesus. It's about the guy who plays Jesus on the TV show The Chosen.
Oh.
And the basically takes a few months out of his life meeting different people and how he grasps trying to play the Son of God, you know, and taking on that mantle. And then, but in episode 2, like most of it was like all these other different people's thoughts about Jesus and Christianity, which is kind of a different documentary altogether.
Yeah.
So I like I said, I'm only halfway through it, so it's interesting so far, but that's about it from me. Not much to speak of, unfortunately.
Whereas I've mostly just been going back through season 1 of Star Trek, the original series.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Because apparently there's a lot of those episodes I either never saw because of the reruns never played them, or I saw once a long time ago, or they've seen them 100 times because they just keep replaying the same old episodes over and over again. But
You know-
it's interesting going back through that now at my current age.
Yeah, I think my wife and I started doing that a couple years ago at Star Trek's 50th so that was what, 5 or so
No, that
years
would
ago?
be better than watching Discovery.
Yeah. And it surprisingly holds up well for a movie or a show made in the 60s. So if
That's
you haven't
cool.
checked it out, I would recommend it.
I
yeah.
mean, there are some instances where, the special effects do not hold up, much like the what is the name of the episode where they're trying to figure out what's killing these miners, and they finally find this rock monster, and it's literally like a bunch of foam that's been taped to like a rug that this guy's crawling under and moving. Pain. That one. I can't remember the episode is Devil in the Dark, but I can't remember what the name of the monster was.
Yeah, it's the foam rock monster.
Yeah, that thing that didn't quite
Grisnak.
age well. Yeah,
I think it's
Garignac.
Goridnak. Yeah, exactly. Rock.
Yeah.
Rock.
Are those the miners? Of course they are. Look how they can't be any more than 12. Mine is not minus. One of these days I'll make Jacob enjoy that show.
He doesn't like that movie.
He does not like that movie. It's too much of a mixture of seriousness and funny for him. I'm thinking that's what makes it good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd probably rather watch Ninja Scroll.
Probably. Probably. On that note, why don't we go ahead and jump into what we're actually here to talk about tonight?
Ooh, sounds good.
Yeah, we are going to be reviewing 2 shorts tonight. The first one was Paul's pick.
The Cargos.
Yes, the Cargos. No, we're going to be first one we're talking about tonight is Magical Maestro. So before I get too far into it, the following is a spoiler-filled review for the short Magical Maestro. Listener discretion is advised. It was directed by Tex Avery and written by Rich Hogan and Roy Williams. In this, a magician is spurned by an opera singer and takes a spectacular revenge by replacing the conductor and turning the hapless tenor into one thing after another. Getting into the cast for this, Dawes Butler plays the magician. And also, he's one of the voices for the great Puccini, along with Carlos Ramirez, Mary Kay, Frank Ross, and Norman Kay, and Paul Frees, and Danny Webb, and Tex Avery. They all played him at different parts, depending on what he got transformed into.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Because I was about to say, I don't remember that many people in the short.
Yeah, there's not, but every single time, it's not the same voice actor in every single one of those.
That's how they did that. That's amazing. Okay.
Are any of them in Kingdom Hearts?
No. Well, I'll admit, I did not actually do a Kingdom Hearts connection check on this.
Oh.
So maybe.
I was about to say, I'm surprised Paul Frees didn't make that. But maybe Kingdom Hearts was, I know it was after his time, but I wonder if they used his.
Remind me. Remind me what Paul Frees was in Disney.
He did the voice. Yeah, no, but he was like the narrator for the Haunted Mansion ride. He did a lot of those.
Right.
I think he also did the original voice for Professor Von Drake. This is off the top of my head, so don't quote me.
Is that the duck?
Von Drake has not shown up in Kingdom Hearts yet.
Okay. But I was just wondering if they ever used any of his original recordings, but probably not to get the quality.
They don't do. There are some instances where they are using archival audio, but it's very, very few, and generally it's the newer stuff.
Okay.
Like Jonathan Taylor Thomas's scream of no in The Lion King is in there, but that's about it.
Okay.
And stuff from Frozen, because we don't get into the Frozen's problems in Kingdom Hearts 3 because that level annoys me.
Okay.
And it's Frozen, and it doesn't bother me anyway.
There you go. Sounds like you did a good job of letting it go.
Exactly.
I thought we were talking about Magical Maestro, guys.
Yeah, we are. Now, about the only other information I could find on this is it was released on February 9th, 1952 by Metro Goldwyn Mayer, who would eventually become Hanna-Barbera. Well, Metro MGM Cartoons, which would eventually become Hanna-Barbera because it's not owned by the actual Metro Goldwyn Mayer, strangely enough.
That is strange.
Yeah. Trivia for this: the hair in the projector gate gag was so realistic, many projectionists attempted to remove the hair themselves, not realizing it was part of the cartoon.
I love it. That was so well done.
As such, the distributors took to including a warning label on the film's canister to alert projectionists of the gag and how it was an intended part of the film.
Nice.
In 1993, Magical Maestro was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant, making it the only Tex Avery cartoon to be included so far.
Booyah.
The name Puccini is a play on Giacomo Puccini, an Italian opera composer of the late 1800s and early 1900s. And a similar plotline to this would be used in the 1964 Tom and Jerry short, The Cat Above and the Mouse Below. Tom tries to sing opera, but is thwarted by his nemesis, Jerry.
I don't know if I've seen that one.
You hate Tom and Jerry?
Yes.
Why?
The cat never gets the mouse.
Well, the coyote never gets the roadrunner. I think there's
another problem there.
And the rabbit never gets his trick cereal.
And Elmer Fudd never gets the wabbit.
You guys are just giving me all the selling points.
Actually, that's not true. He did once kill the wabbit.
Well, but then he came back to
tragic.
Yeah, that was about to say. But then he showed that he was alive at the very end. So did he?
Okay, fair.
Yeah, but
all right. So why don't we go ahead and get into our likes? Why don't we start with Paul? What's your first like for this, especially since this was your pick?
Yeah, this and the reason why I chose this short, let's start there, is this is one that I've gone back to every so often. Years growing up, I enjoyed it, and then even as an adult, sometimes like, what do I put on? This has been like in my top pick. So I've enjoyed it throughout the years, and the first like that I have, I just love the gags. There's so many in this. And it's very creative, and it's a wide variety. I think they pull it off well. And like you said before, that hair gag, I would have loved to have been into a large audience at the time where that was just like brand new to them, kind of a thing, and to see their reaction on that. So I like the gags.
You can see my reaction to it right now.
Well, no, audio people cannot. Francisco is a sour grump.
I suspect we will hear more about that in a later section, actually, from Francisco. But Francisco, what is one of the things you did like from this short?
Well, something that I think this maybe applies to what you were talking about, Paul, but I loved how they did the transitions from from the costume to the tux and back and forth. I always thought it was a great sort of in-universe doesn't sound right, but the way they did it and achieved it, I thought that was very creative. How they would, whether he's wiping it away or unzipping something, I don't know. It was always very cool, and it was different each time, which I thought was very creative. So I really like that.
Or the stagehands taking the costume away while he's still standing there.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, any of the number of ways they did it, I thought that was very.
You know
very
what? I can't count how many times I've watched this, and I don't think I ever noticed that it was different each time. But I think you're right. Wow, that's incredible.
So I know I watched this as a young kid, but I never apparently knew the name of this particular short. I'm guessing because probably the last time I actually watched it before this, I may have been too young to read. I'm suspecting that. I have no idea if that's true, because the only place I remember watching this regularly would have been on a VHS that my papa had recorded for all the grandkids to watch in the other room during the family get-togethers.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So I don't know. This may have been right before some other Looney Tune, probably. But so when I saw Paul put this on the list, and I thought, I have no idea what this is. But I'll give it a shot, because
it's the only Tex Avery the U.S. government thinks is worth preserving.
Apparently. And then, so I'm watching the short, and for whatever reason, the titles cards aren't making any impact on me at all. But the second we get that establishing shot of the theater, I go, oh, it's this one. It's like I knew it in my bones which one this was, and then I was ready to watch this. So, there's a lot of nostalgia for this on this one.
Oh,
but
cool.
I think the thing I like the most about this, like you said, actually would be just how well they switch between like all the gags and the number of them, including the ones that were not on that VHS that I watched, because there is some censorship in the version I watched.
Oh wow. I'm actually a little bit surprised, because I didn't think they were censoring it back in the VHS days, but I'm glad you saw the uncensored version.
Well, the blackface definitely would have been censored by then. The Chinese wasn't.
I remember seeing the blackface as a kid, because I remember him getting squashed and going into a different voice and then wondering, what is he saying, because the voice is so low.
Yeah. I think the audio played on my version, but you didn't see the video.
Weird. Maybe just the audience reaction.
They just edited the video around it and showed different things. Because you see the guy lift the anvil up to throw it over, and then you see them, ratcheting him back up.
Yeah.
But you don't actually see what he looks like during any of that part,
interesting.
from what I remember.
Yeah,
But in this one, I did see the whole thing and thought, okay, I know why I don't remember some of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that would definitely that's just not something I'm used to seeing anymore.
Yeah.
Unless it's an Akira Toriyama thing.
Some people would definitely have some words about it.
Mr. Popo.
Yeah, Mr. Popo. Paul, what's your second like for this?
I like the song Figaro. Just the Italian opera on it. It's very catchy. It's very memorable. It gets in my head, and I think, and they got a great singer to do it. It's really well. What do you call that? It's really well done.
Sung?
Yeah, no, there's like
Performed?
how to activate it. I'm words are hard for me sometimes, but
By the way, the one who's
Produced.
singing Figaro was
Yes.
actually Carlos Ramirez.
okay.
See, I could have sworn why didn't they just use the original Pavarotti performance? Because I feel like
They
that
may
would've
not have had a recording at the time.
What do you
I was about
mean
to
a
say.
record? Wait,
How old's Pavarotti?
yeah, wasn't when Pavarotti had been around then? Maybe not. Oh, I guess
I don't know.
I don't know when
but
this came out. Was it the 60s?
19
Yeah,
1952.
60s. What was it?
1952.
50s. No, that's
Oh.
right. It was the 50s.
Then that might be before.
Yeah, he
Pavarotti
was
time.
only
But
he
had-
wasn't even 20 yet.
Get on it, tenor.
But you
Be in
had
these
somebody who could do it and do it well. So
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
And often I'm not used to hearing that such caliber in some of these cartoons. You know, they'll get someone who sounds good, but he sounded great. Like,
Isn't there a whale one though where they use a
oh
That's
yeah,
really good
that's a
opera
Willie the
person?
Singing Whale. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a Disney one, and you can't find it on Disney Plus.
So see, they do it all
Because
the
of the
time. What are you talking about,
blackface.
Paul?
Let's put
It's
it this
not really-
way.
it's not really
It's
blackface.
been since the 70s forward. They often, in my experience, I'm not saying that they don't, but more often than not, they'll use a studio singer rather than going out and find a professional opera singer.
I wouldn't doubt you there. Okay, that's fair.
So it sounded great. And I liked the song and the execution of it. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was pretty much my other like too, was just I mean I thought it was Pavarotti. Obviously that doesn't make sense given the time frame. But I also enjoyed how they animated him singing. I thought that looked authentic for this bulldog to be singing that.
Yeah.
And so that was my other like.
That's funny because a bulldog singing, this looks more like a bulldog singing than some of these 3D things that they try to do nowadays with dogs
Where they
talking
move
and
the
singing.
mouth and an
Yeah.
actual like
Yeah,
an actual dog.
it's like
yeah.
that's just a dog chewing peanut butter, you know, or the 3D animation is
yeah,
off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So my second like for this is I like the performance of the magician. Because I mean, granted, I love the singing. The singing. Don't get me wrong; that may come up later, but
Points.
I love how he's able the way they had him do all the different spells, for lack of a better term, to do all that, including like throwing the giant symbol at him, so he
Oh yeah.
turns into a Chinese person for a short bit. But yeah, I loved how that and they animated his face like very well. It was very expressive, and I guess for some reason I was not expecting that, even though he kind of took not Droopy's role there.
Yeah.
Because that's looks like they could have originally were going to use Droopy there and decided not to for some reason.
Is that
For
is
the
that who
conductor.
Tex Avery is known for mainly as Droopy
Well,
Dog?
technically,
One of 'em.
Butch is the Puccini is technically Butch, and that is Droopy's nemesis.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
The wolf
So-
guy. Yeah.
So then why wasn't Droopy the magician?
Because the magician is the villain in this, and they probably didn't want Droopy to be the villain.
And Butch did have a couple of his own solo cartoons without Droopy. So
Okay.
And
That's
Butch is a villain. Man, some of those Droopy ones are also great picks for shorts.
yeah. So Paul, what's your last like for this?
My last like is the plot, and you said you mentioned that there's a similar Tom and Jerry one, which I'm not familiar with off the top of my head. I'd like to see that. Maybe I have seen it, but
it was not one I was familiar with either. That was just what I researched and found.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that. But I like the idea of this magician coming along, playing all these tricks, and then at the end he gets his justice, I guess.
Comeuppance.
Yeah, his comeuppance as it's played back on him. I just thought it was an interesting plot. Once the singing began, like I was engaged. Like it moves quick. I think it's like 7 minutes or something long. It definitely
Something
feels like once it begins, it feels like a 5 or 4 minute show, together. But so I'd say the plot, I think they execute the plot really well, and the pacing of it moves. It's kind of a slow start, but once it's in there, it's in there.
Francisco, what's your last like for this?
Well, this is very minor, but I really appreciate the detail of when they kick the magician out at the very beginning, how you see this footprint in his back. I thought that was fun.
Yeah, you don't often see that, especially in these Hanna-Barbera Tex Avery ones. Disney had a reputation of if somebody's crying and there's a puddle on the ground, the puddle is there in the next shot. Often in the Hanna-Barbera ones, the Looney Tune ones, the puddle's not there in the next shot.
Okay.
So the footprint in the back is a nice carryover that is often not found. So yeah.
But that's it for me.
My last like for this, this is a simple plot that knows what it's here for, and they didn't try to drag it out any. Yeah. And I appreciate that this is yes, this is pretty much a paper thin plot in a way as an excuse to play gag after gag after gag.
Yeah.
But it works for this. It didn't need anything deeper than this for this quick set of gags over and over again. So yeah,
it's a great setup.
I appreciated the setup for this one, and I thought it did well.
Yeah.
So on that note, why don't we start talking about what we don't like about this? Our dislikes.
Let Francisco. Can I go last on these?
Yeah, let's let Paul go last this time. Francisco, what's your first dislike?
Oh, okay. Let's start at the beginning. A fabulous place to start. Help me understand. Is the magician trying to get revenge on Puccini for kicking him out, or just to show off his magic skill?
Yes.
Or both?
Yes. Yeah, why not?
Okay,
if you're going to get revenge, why not use both?
Here's the thing. The audience thinks he's the conductor, not a magician. So he's essentially not showing off to anyone.
No, but he's getting his vengeance back using his magic.
But that doesn't display his ability as a magician to the audience, which is what he wanted originally.
He doesn't care about that
he's
now.
He's not worried about the audience.
Then all
he's worried
he
about
needs to
Puccini.
do is get a gun and shoot this dog in the face. That's all he needs to do. That'll get your revenge. All this over and over and over again doesn't do anything.
That would be a short cartoon.
That's right.
And all right, and we'll put that against this one, and we'll see which the U.S. picks to save for their national treasure.
Exactly.
It's all political.
I do believe the last one in which a dog shot somebody, a cartoon I watched where a dog shot somebody, they had to edit that out before it went out to theaters.
Oh, fine. Yeah, all these soft generation can't handle some dogs with guns. Jeez.
You mean the greatest generation?
Oh, way back then? I thought you were talking about a more recent one.
No, it was like late 40s. I have to look up what the name of it is, but it's one of the early Bugs Bunny ones.
Softies too. But yeah, that was a little perplexing to me. Why he was, if he wants
his
revenge,
motivation.
I understand if he wants revenge for getting kicked out and not getting a chance. That totally makes sense. But then, why is he going? It's almost like a Rube Goldberg machine of revenge. It's like you're going through all this effort without any fame for yourself. It didn't.
I'm here for it. Yeah,
that's what makes it funny.
All right, Francisco. To answer your question, he's there for revenge.
Yeah. Okay.
How he gets revenge is by using his magic. It's not to show off. It's just for revenge for not hiring him.
And in some ways, it's like, you don't like my magic. Let's see if you don't like my magic. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
I guess, but is it really doing that much of a revenge? Because
Yes, because it's taking it out on him. He's not trying to get the job. He doesn't have the job.
He
so
knows he
he's
doesn't have the job. Now he's just having fun with this guy because it's
Yeah.
easy to mess with him.
all right. I'll have more about to say, but that's
right,
good enough.
Fair
for now.
enough.
Okay. I'll go next on on these dislikes. I have a bad feeling I'm stealing this from Francisco.
Uh-oh.
But as much as I like the hair in the
it's so
gate,
dumb, right? What the get out of my face with this?
That's the point.
As much as I like it, because I do find it funny, I don't think this was the cartoon to play it in.
Why not?
It doesn't fit in win with the gags throughout the rest of the.
It's
the
a
short.
magic hair.
But no. That's what makes it even more fun. It's a separate gag on its own.
Right, but I mean, I think it would play better in a different one. I don't know which one.
The fact that he stops and picks it out.
I mean, that's funny.
Love it.
Don't get me wrong. I do love it, but it felt out of place in this one.
So
I could have
I
seen
think
it.
that
I
was
could
the
have
point.
Maybe so, but yeah, I think it would have played better in a different context.
All right.
Yeah, I didn't. I think I thought it was funny that he plucks it out. I agree with that, Paul. But for the longest time, I'm like, why is there this thing on the screen? What is going on right now?
All right.
It just was
Well,
very confusing.
there are hairs that get stuck in the gate. There's what part of the camera.
Is that something that happened
Yeah,
a lot?
so
that
that's
was
why-
something that
Okay.
happened.
Then that probably makes. That
and
probably
some
makes
of the
it
old
funnier.
films they have that. In fact, some of the new stuff they even have it. Like if you check, like the series Chuck, it's known for having sometimes a hair. Look, Google it.
Oh, okay.
A hair stuck in one of the scenes. Like, what's that? It looks like a wire. It's actually a hair. And that's why you hear sometimes you'll hear on the set someone yelling, "Hey, check the gate!" And they're checking for dust and things that get on the lens,
yes,
and that have this hair effect. That
Yeah,
it's really a hair. So
Okay,
the fact that he's able to. People would think, oh, that's just part of the film. It messes up. I'm sure the next scene it'll be gone.
And it is gone for a little bit, but then it comes back and he pulls it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get the joke. It's just it doesn't fit with the rest of the gags in this one. Is my thing.
For me, it would have helped more if I had that context of this is something that's I'm used to seeing. I think it would have played a bit better. But since I'm so out of like the context of that, it didn't strike me as funny. It just struck me as like, why is this?
And
here?
that's one of the reasons why I said I would love to be in the audience who's used to seeing that kind of thing back then.
Absolutely.
And then all of a sudden have it switched on their heads. Now
Yeah.
I've seen this happen a couple times in other cartoons, and I wish I could remember where. But I think this is the first. If it's not the first, it's the first one that I saw. This gag of
the hair in the gate thing. This is the first time it was actually done, but it was repeated in a bunch of other things and in some live action ones intentionally.
Oh, okay,
right.
cool.
I have seen it, from time to time here and there. Not often, but this and
Yeah, I could see this fitting in a Tom and Jerry cartoon more than I can see it in this one.
Then a Tex Avery cartoon? Get out of here!
I'm just saying. But or maybe it would fit in Droopy. I don't know. But this is.
Would you
Droopy.
rather the hair be part of the plot? Like, oh, I need something to tie this down. Oh, here, I'll use this.
Let's say, well, that would be funny, but say it was what's coming to my mind is the Looney Tune short Duck Amuck, where they're literally playing with the fact that you're in a
where the wall is broken, the fourth wall is broken,
and in that it would have worked good. If I don't know if MGM Cartoons / Hanna-Barbera ever did something like that, but
I can see that. But then it's almost kind of expected. The reason that this works so brilliantly is that it's unexpected.
But it's just, to be honest, I actually had a hard time finding dislikes for this, so this is a nitpick.
Okay, fair enough. I had hard times finding dislikes too, so I'll let it go. But I think the reason why I'm quote unquote arguing this other side is because I think it's the best gag in the whole thing, and I think the gags are the best.
Okay.
So anyway,
Paul,
so let's go on to my
dislike?
My dislike. The backgrounds, are paintings. They're beautifully painted, but they don't match the quality of the characters of the foreground of the animations.
Isn't that common back then? I feel like.
Yes, but the background. especially if you have like I have the Blu-ray of the
Yeah.
text. This came out on the text. I think it was volume 2. I
Yes,
forget.
volume
Anyway.
2 of the Screwball collection.
Yeah. So, and it's really, you can, with the Blu-ray, you can see the details, and it's almost like it's almost impressionistic. It's not, so it's weird to say the details, but the impressionistic style, I'd say, doesn't match the style of the animated characters. So
Sure,
there's
yeah.
kind of this weird juxtaposition between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nitpicky, but it's not consistent
there's
style.
There's no like reason for that juxtaposition. It's just sort of there. Okay.
Unfortunately, a great example of one that does work well is like these Hanna-Barberas of like, you know, the old Yogi Bear or Huckleberry Hound, where the 2D animation in front looks like the 2D animation in the background. It's very simple lines. There's not a lot of details.
Yeah.
But then you lose the quality. The quality isn't as good there either, but
Yeah.
at least it matches kind of.
Yeah.
yeah.
Francisco, what's your second dislike for
The
this?
hair. Continue on.
Oh,
Was that
come
your
on.
first?
No, it was my
was
first.
the
He didn't understand the revenge.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Revenge
Yeah.
is a dish
So
best served with magic.
Exactly.
Yes,
I
in
already
this
said
case.
everything I had to say about the hair.
Okay, that makes
I
sense.
just didn't get it, and I
All right.
wish it would have been not a part of it, or
Well,
if they
see-
had paid it off sooner, so I wasn't utterly confused. But again, this whole goes back to don't have the context of that being a thing, so I think
All right.
that's a
I
moot
can
point.
explain it. The hairs are known for having multiplying fast, like they get together and breed. That's why when he
yeah.
puts his arms down, he comes back up and like they have a bunch of babies.
Yeah.
The two hairs.
So how do I get that to happen on my Chrome Dome? How do I
Well,
get
you
that
need
to happen?
a male hair and a female hair.
And unfortunately, they don't make the hats anymore. You can pull those hairs out of.
Yeah. So, and if you have Tex Avery involved, it'll happen in a couple seconds. Like, you'll be golden.
Wow.
So, my second dislike for this, and I am stretching here. I don't like how abbreviated Butch's Revenge on the Magician is at the end.
Well, yeah, at the end.
I
yeah.
know I know it's like, okay, we've got a minute to finish this cartoon out, and we are just going to reuse all the same gags. But I'm sitting there going, it would have been funnier if you had like different gags you could have forced him to do.
Oh,
and
interesting.
Maybe it just kind
I
of
could see
fade
that.
out and as you say, you know he's going to. But the fact that it plays through all the old gags on fast forward, it's just like, I get it, but I kind of wish there was more to it.
Yeah, I can kind of see it, but I again, I think the pacing is so well done. I don't know what. See, and if they did different gags and they fade out, I'd be like, well, wait, I want to see the other ones.
Yeah.
Where when they reuse the old ones, it's like, all right, I get it. Like, and they didn't reuse all of them. I think they cut like a third or something. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't have time to do all of them, but it just ends like right at the end of one. I just kind of would. In some ways, I would have even been happy if you're using the same gags for it to fade out while it's obvious he's going through a bunch of them instead of.
Oh,
ending
I like the
Yeah.
ending of the curtain falling. Like it's a
Yeah.
great ending. Like the curtain's down. It's
Yeah.
time to go. But yeah, I can kind of see that it does end abruptly. Maybe I'll use that for my second like, because honestly, I've had a tough time or dislike. I really had a tough times figuring out my dislikes. I really only wrote down one, to be honest, and I was trying to find others. So yeah, I could see more variety of gags. More, which this already had a bunch. So yeah, I'll go with that too. Sure. That's my
All
dislike.
Okay, Francisco, what's your third dislike and final dislike?
Okay, yeah, I don't. You guys, I'm sure are gonna have some smart comment about this.
Usually,
But the normal conductor or maestro is there conducting,
Yeah.
and Puccini's trying to sing or is about to sing, and the orchestra's going, and then the magician comes in and silence for like, I don't know, 10, 20 seconds. No murmur in the eyes. Oh, what's going on? What's going on? There?
As he's
just
stealing the magician's nose and hair and everything while he's just boink, boink, and everyone's
where
just...
the audience can see him doing it.
Yeah.
But there's nothing like stop that man or nothing. There's just like, oh, I guess it's just happening.
That's a very good point. Maybe they're like Thanos and just waiting for the Avengers to assemble and get ready. I don't know.
I mean, it just seemed if it had been more, if the magician had done it more subterfuged way or just done it more quick, like I don't know, maybe pulling a hat down and then back up into Tim or something.
Yeah,
I think that would have been
quick.
Yeah, some real quick that was in tempo with the music. I would have been like, oh, that's perfect. Okay, great. But just this like,
wow,
are you
Francisco, that's a good point.
Yeah,
thank you. I
will get behind that one. Congrats, you found one I can get behind.
It only took how long for this to happen?
Mm-hmm. That's neither here nor there.
Neither here nor there. Okay.
Yeah, we already discussed no hair. Got it.
So that was my third dislike.
My third dislike is I have to ask, what was the magician's why did the magician think that him even asking for a job for it to this tenor was even a good idea in the first place?
Back door, go through it because the manager or something.
Yeah, that's one thing, but at the same time, this is a different type of audience than you would be for a magician's act.
Yeah,
well.
It's not like this is a variety show.
I was just about to say this may have been taken from the vaudeville days, but this was afterwards.
Right, this isn't showing vaudeville either.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, the closest thing I can point to this might be the Muppet Show, but that's not even that.
Yeah.
So
it's not
I don't understand how a magician being an opening act for an opera singer makes a lot of sense, and why he would think that would be a good place to go.
Yeah, you know what? I can get behind that too. That's a good point.
But I'm also stretching because in the middle of the cartoon, I don't care.
Yeah. So for my third dislike, I don't like the fact that the magician guy takes so long to steal the composer, and that he asks the singing guy for a job rather than the manager. So I combine both those to my.
That's amazing. How original, Paul.
Oh, thank you. No, those are both very good. I can stand behind those. Those make sense.
All right, then we need to rate this. Of course, y'all know we use a 10-point scale. Mm-hmm. What are y'all going to rate this short, Francisco?
Jeez. And what am I comparing it to? Or is it just like
That's
generally?
Your opinion. Generally, your opinion.
Out of 10.
Out of 10.
I don't know.
Not using any negative points. 0 is the lowest you can get.
0.0 is the lowest that's been said on this show.
I'll give it a 4, I guess. It's better than Fire and Ice, I'll tell you that much.
You're not wrong.
I mean, it's not. I rate it that low, not because of the quality, just because I'd never watch this again. This is not my what I go to in cartoons.
It's not your thing.
It's not my thing. Yeah. So I'll give you a little like asterisk in terms of what I think. I mean, in terms of I think the quality, the comedy, all of that, I'll rate it like a 7. But for me, Francisco, if someone like what I'm going to watch, it's going to be a 4. I don't.
That's fair. Paul, what are you rating this?
I was going to rate it a 9.
Oh, wow.
And then I thought, you know what? It's more like a 9.2.
Oh.
And I thought,
round to the nearest 0.5.
Okay. And then I thought, okay, what is a 10?
Ooh, yeah.
In comparison to this? And I honestly can't think of one. And I was like, well, what can make it better? And honestly, I couldn't think of anything. And so I'm like, then why not make it a 10?
Wow.
And honestly, I couldn't come up with that. So I'm going to make it a 10.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
Well, I guess I'm going to come in the middle and give it an 8.
Okay.
How's that in the middle?
Is between your rating and mine.
Oh, okay.
4 and 10,
okay.
Yeah. I'm coming in the middle between you two.
Matt is taking a major hit today.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say real quick and this is my jam. This is my thing, and so Yeah, that's why I rated it 10. All right, so
I mean,
Drew, why isn't it your thing, or what makes it better than a 4?
This is my thing. My
Okay.
problem is I have seen other theatrical shorts like this that are better in my opinion.
Oh, okay.
And this is not one that this is one I remembered from when I was a kid, Saturday morning cartoons and such.
Mm-hmm.
This is not one I apparently learned the name of, so I must not have liked it that much as a kid, unlike some other ones that I did learn the names of later on.
Okay.
So,
and I always, as a kid, I always called
yeah.
this Figaro because I didn't know the name of it either.
Well, I would have thought it was the Rabbit of Seville if you said Figaro, because that's where I make the connection. It's where I know Figaro from.
Okay.
But yeah. I'm giving it an 8 because it's good. I enjoyed it, but it's not the most memorable for me, even though I knew this from like the first establishing shot, which one this was.
Yeah.
So
out of curiosity, what would be a more higher rating, or what would be a 10 for you?
I don't remember what we rated this because we have already reviewed it, but my favorite Looney Tune is What's Opera Doc.
Okay, fair enough.
That one's just
hard to argue against.
Yeah, it's not. Admittedly, it's not gag a minute, but it's got a story I can actually get behind, and it's well done, and it's also the most expensive one they made.
Yeah,
because they stole money from a Roadrunner cartoon to make it.
Well done.
So I'm giving it an 8.
All right.
What would you guess Jacob would give this?
I have no idea.
Let's see. It's not Ninja Scroll, so it's 0.
No. I suspect Jacob would give it a 7, to be honest.
Okay.
I think he would have enjoyed it, but it's not really kind of his thing either.
All right.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
This week, we suggest checking out the Retro Rewind podcast. Every other week, you can join the Retro Rewind pod as they travel back 15 or more years along the entertainment space-time continuum in their mission to review movies and games, establishing what is still worth your time today. You can expect fun banter and trivial insights from Francisco, Paul, and a rotating group of guest hosts who are all out of time. Cellcast would also like to thank the following patrons: Ashley and Francisco Ruiz. Oh, you're right here.
Oh, we are.
PaulJPowers.com. Oh,
He's here too.
Right, he's here too. And the Monster Island Film Vault. If you would like to hear your name read out on the show, uncut episodes of the podcast, plus special art from Jacob, please donate to us on Patreon. So, moving on to the next thing, that is the opening attract screen to Chrono Trigger, which is Francisco's pick.
Oh, yeah.
So, the following is a spoiler-filled review for the Chrono Trigger Attract screen, and probably the game Chrono Trigger, if we're being honest. Listener discretion is advised.
Why is it called the track screen?
I'm calling it an attract screen because it's in the spot in a video game, like in an arcade, where the video loop they would play over and over again.
Attract?
Yeah,
like to attract something.
To attract the customer
I
to
was
play the
hearing
game.
a track scene. I'm like, I don't get what
like it's one that you run alongside or run on.
Attract screen.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
That's why I'm calling it that.
Okay.
Even
Because
though
it's like Magneto, it attracts you.
Even though, hang on, if you're going to say that.
There it is.
I am Magneto, master of magnet.
Master
So it's
of
his screen.
Yeah, it's his screen. No, I guess I'm calling it that because that's what this kind of opening sequence evolved out of in video games from those.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Unfortunately, I can't find a lot of information about the cartoon itself.
Yeah,
That is. I've looked through the years.
But
I can tell you that
the game was produced by Yusuke Hirata and Koji Morishita, and they would have specifically the PlayStation version that was produced by them, because this was released with the PlayStation release back in November 2nd, 1999 in Japan. And it was animated by Toei Animation with help from Akira Toriyama's Bird Studio.
Nice.
And like I said, it's part of the PlayStation re-release of Chrono Trigger, which would be released in North America on June 29th, 2001, when it was included with Final Fantasy IV in the collection Final Fantasy Chronicles, and is also now available on iOS, Android, and Windows, aka Steam, which I know is where Francisco originally saw it, was Steam. So, yeah, Francisco, what is your first like for this? Since it is your pick.
That is my pick. I love how, and this always confuses me for some reason. I don't know why. But after watching it a few times, I finally got it. But I loved how you sort of go through all right after the opening with the music box, which I'll talk about later. But once you start into I've totally forgot the big bug guy, the Lavos, yeah, that big guy. He like zooms in the camera, then you zoom out from Earth or something like that. After that, and you get into this like cycle of time, and you're seeing all the different eras throughout the game. I just love that. And for whatever reason, I always thought the clock was going backwards as you were going forward. So I'm like, wait, which way are we going in time? But no, it is going the right way. I don't know why I always saw it differently. But I think that's a great way to just having this sweeping look at all the different eras. And especially this game most likely is going to be for, I imagine a lot of people will be coming to it for the second time, not the first time. So they'll be like, oh, I know that. Oh, I remember that. And I just think that's a great sort of way to catapult this this whole opening attract screen. So that was my like.
All right.
Yeah.
Paul, what's your first like for this?
This utilizes one of my favorite animation techniques that was sometimes used in the 90s, but often not even then, and even I don't know why less now, probably because it's expensive. But basically, there's my favorite thing about this is that there's a lot of action scenes, and the way they depict action is that the background moves with the foreground. It's also animated in the same way as the foreground. And you would sometimes see this in the 90s, like in DuckTales and sometimes in like the original Dragon Ball, but it's not often found now. And like I said, I don't know why, but I love it when the background is moving with the foreground, and it's not like a forced, like, oh, it's just like they're just moving the background plate ever so slightly as the other characters are moving around.
It's almost like a perspective move where you can tell that there's like they have to animate it to get it.
Everything on the screen is animated. So
it may be that in modern digital techniques, that might actually be like not as easy a thing to do as it would have been with cell animation.
Maybe so. And even when they do, sorry, I'm about to say doo-doo. When they do it, the background, you could tell like, oh, this is just traced over a 3D thing. It doesn't have that feel of the action like it did back in the 90s, or this was made shortly after the 2000s, but it utilize that same technique. So I love the action shots in this, and I love the way they show the action shots by using that method.
Absolutely.
Well, the Japanese studios did take a lot longer to start using 3D stuff than the American studios did. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
I think they're better off.
I wish, in many ways, I wish they had stuck with that.
Yeah.
Fair.
But honestly, some of the stuff that they're pulling off now,
there's good stuff now, but
like the vehicles in like Spy Family right now look like they are a great combo 2D 3D use.
That tech has risen a lot in more years.
Yeah, absolutely.
More on that probably after these air when we get back to Spy Family on TAS. But
there you go.
Yeah. So my first like for this is that it's a 2D animation. No, let me explain. Let me explain. I know,
I love it.
this sounds stupid, but
No, it's
bear
great.
in mind, this is 1999-2001 era when this
Yes.
Yeah.
re-release was made. The other game in this collection that came out in North America was Final Fantasy IV. It was still Super Nintendo graphics, but they went and made a 3D animated opening for it, much like they did with the PlayStation re-release of 5 and 6. Now, don't get me wrong, I liked those too, but those did not age well. This,
I
on the
agree.
other hand, looks so much better.
Oh yeah.
Because
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I love the fact that even though this probably cost Squaresoft more at the time, since they had to farm it out to a different studio other than their internal studio, like they did with the others, I think they were better for it because this looks
Absolutely.
so much better 20 years down the road.
Yes.
And the reason I
Yeah.
know that is that these cutscenes are still in the releases of these games, while Final Fantasy
Yep.
never put them back out
Yep.
when they re-released 4, 5, and 6 again.
Yeah.
So
I didn't realize
That's the
about
reason why.
the other Final Fantasies that there were
Yeah.
different intros or anything.
Final
That's
Fantasy,
interesting.
the PlayStation re-releases of 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6 do have animation done by Square's what is that internal studio called? ImageSoft, I think is the name of it.
Is it the type
It's
of
the same- it's
FMVs you would see in like Final Fantasy 7 or 8 or 9 or those
closer
types of things?
closer to 8 and 9, because 7 was the first time that studio had ever done anything like
Oh, okay,
that.
okay. Mhm.
But I mean, it's still about that quality.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
Because it was a PlayStation 1, of course, and it didn't have to be, whatever quality they were working on their computer would then have to be compressed to heck to fit on a
Yes.
CD.
Yeah.
So, and even though it was only one cutscene versus 30, 40 in Final Fantasy 7, however many it is. But yeah, I love that they did not go with what had to be their gut reaction and go with 2D, because I've seen what Akira Toriyama's art looks like in 3D in the modern era, and a lot of times it leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay.
If
They're
you
getting better,
if you
but
really want to hear my opinion on that, go listen to the Cellcast reaction to Dragon Ball Super Superhero. Still a stupid
Yeah.
name for a show, but whatever.
yeah.
Because that's all that's in that 3D style. Granted, it looks like it's Dragon Ball Fighter Z.
It looks like a game.
I
it-
like how Dragon Ball Virus Z looks.
In that it works, but when you're in a movie theater, you want
Yeah.
it to look better than that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So yeah. But so Francisco, what's your
Accurate on all accounts.
so
there.
Francisco, what's your second like?
Well, we're sort of already talking about it, but I just seeing this beautiful animation of all the main characters from the game and some of their special moves on top of that, whether it's the X slash that Glenn or Frog and Chrono do, or the spell attacks. When I forget what's the robot's name. I named it
Robo.
Robo. When he's doing the punch shot attack, just seeing those
Yep.
things, seeing those elements from the game. And again, like you were saying, this beautiful 2D animation style that totally holds up today. It's just it makes a glaring dislike for later. That's what I'll say.
All right, Paul, what's your second like?
I like the fact that it's in the style of Akira Toriyama
Yes.
or Akira.
Yeah, however it's-
or however. But just I don't know why his style has such a universal appeal, but it translates so well to 2D animation. It just and I love the fact that he originally designed the characters and they went back to that original design from years ago
yes.
to animate that
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah. There's so
It's
much
so
cohesion
well
with
done.
that. Yes.
yeah and it's beautiful.
But this is a slight tangent. I, for the longest time, didn't really care for his art style.
I can
This is
understand that
before I
to some
really
degree.
watched
Yeah.
Dragon Ball much or anything like that.
Yeah.
I liked some of the other anime more like Studio
Ghibli?
or some other studios. But
Maybe it's an acquired taste because I felt the same way.
Can be.
and
When
I really like it now. So yeah, I think it is more of an acquired.
I remember when I first saw some episodes of Dragon Ball Z before I even knew it was an anime. I remember thinking this looks cheap.
Yeah.
And I'm like 12 years old thinking this looks cheap. But once I finally was watching the show and got into it, it's like, oh yeah, this art is actually good, and I kind of like it, and kind of wonder why other people don't draw like this.
Yeah,
and yet
and
they kind of will do offshoots of that later on with stuff like One Piece does, and
I still hate
things.
the butt between the eyes. I hate that so much.
The eyebrow.
Well, no, it's like when there's like tension.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
right there.
When they're scowling. Yeah.
Yes, I'm like, get rid of that, please.
But that's part of the style. What's amazing to me, sorry, this is a little tangent just on his style, is that it is so simple, but it's amazing the variety of characters that can be made out of that style. It's just astonishing.
I will say, Francisco, your problem with what you call the butt in between the eyes, that is not as prominent in the manga.
Oh, really?
That he originally drew. The anime is well, they have to slightly change the designs for the anime so that it's easier to animate. And so depending on who the artist is, who was doing the drawing, sometimes things like that get accentuated more than intended.
Gotcha.
But yeah, and you can tell that even though this was a new thing, a different project than Dragon Ball, they were using the same techniques they were using in Dragon Ball GT for this short when they were redoing everything. So.
Oh, okay, interesting. I haven't seen GT, but okay.
It's not great, but
that's what I've heard.
but you could tell it's that time period because of the darker colors and the more how do I put it in a way? It's strangely a little more fluid while still being staticky than Z is.
Okay, interesting.
I don't know a good way to explain that, but yeah,
that's fine.
So yeah, that was my second
like. Yeah, I was trying to think. Were we on Francisco or Paul? My second like for this is that, despite the fact that it is a anime opening sequence, basically. They didn't make it into an anime opening sequence like for a TV show.
Yeah.
So many of the modern anime styled video games, like the Persona series, it really feels like when you're watching like the opening of one of these TV shows when you're playing the game, and that's good and all, it works, but that's not really what I wanted to see. I want to see stuff from the game shown done in animation.
So you're saying this does that? This shows scenes from the game.
Scenes from the game. It does. There is a bit of a clip show feel to it, but yet it's all freshly animated. So I haven't gone back and looked because I know this is not the only animated cutscene in that.
No, there are several cutscenes.
Right.
We just saw we're just reviewing the intro. There are several.
I don't know if they reused some of this from those other cutscenes and then edited it where it fit well.
I don't think so. I think they're all original. Like,
I wasn't sure because I could just watching the opening, I was feeling like, okay, that like the shot of Frog standing up.
Okay,
I could see that used in his introduction, is what I'm saying.
Sure, I was about to say the other cut scenes are like scenes of themselves. They're like standalone scenes.
Okay, so they're not really replacing.
Where this is like a montage of different.
Exactly.
But I don't think in those later ones, I don't think are utilized in this intro, which I think is great.
I would appreciate that too. But I like how it's. Even though it's freshly animated, it really feels like I'm watching scenes from what's in the game. Even though I have very little knowledge of what happens in the game because I didn't get very far in Chrono Trigger when I played it. I think I think I got 10 hours into it before I got distracted by something else because I know the cave woman I never got to.
Oh, okay.
I was about to say, I'm surprised you made out of the fair in 10 hours.
No,
because I know I didn't.
I got out of the fair in like 10 minutes. What are you talking about,
dude? All right, this is the same guy who beat Lavos on his first try too. So
That's what you get for
I
not
mean, you
talking
did,
to
not me.
NPCs.
Yeah, I was about. No wonder you don't know the name of Lavos, because you didn't talk to anybody about their gripes against him, nor stick around long enough to find out his name.
I forgot that this was the game where the meme came up about Francisco not talking to NPCs.
This is it.
No, I did get out of the opening sequence fairly quick because while I did talk to NPCs, I gathered quickly, okay, yeah, this is this, and if there is any secret here, I probably missed it. Outside of, I think I did do the fight. Is it Gato?
Gato.
I think I did fight him a couple times for silver coins for a bit. So.
Oh, I remember spending hours,
because
at least a couple hours finding Gato just so I could level up and beat the monsters out in the forest.
So you can
and then
level
finding
up
the
just
forest.
by finding Gato? I forget.
Oh, well, it takes a long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I think I got into the story fairly quick and got pretty much, like I said, up to the first time you end up at the gates of at
the time
gate, wherever you could start going to other times willy nilly without the ship.
The end of time, I think is what
end of
that's
time,
called.
yeah. And
you got to the end of time. Okay, that's cool.
I got that far, and then I found out, oh, I can go fight Lavos immediately.
Oh no!
I think I'll see.
You can fight him, yes.
Let's just see how that works. I didn't like.
Yeah.
I was severely underleveled. I did not really know how to play any of the characters, and died immediately.
Well, that's how you learn. I think I did the same thing on my first try.
And then when I got back into it, I couldn't figure out where on earth I was supposed to go, and none of the NPCs I was talking to were telling me where to go. So I probably need to come back to that at some point, but it's not on my to play list at the moment.
Oh, that's a shame.
The game's good, don't get me wrong, what I played, but I've not gotten to the point now where I think I could play through that opening without going, I feel like I've done this before.
Yeah, you have.
So
I know you're too busy reviewing shorts right now.
At the moment,
that's understandable.
Not to mention other games that I'm playing. Francisco, what's your third and final like for this?
Oh my goodness, the music throughout this whole thing.
Dang it, you took mine. Go for it.
It just inspires such a sense of adventure, hope, sadness.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure this is
hope and sadness.
Hope and sadness
and adventure. That's impressive.
Yasunori Mitsuda, I believe, is how you pronounce his name, the composer. Just so
primary composer, yeah.
Just so rich, and I just loved.
Nobuo Uematsu did do some of it, but not a lot.
Yeah, but I will just play and listen to this intro just to inspire me because the music is just so captivating for me. So I really like it. And that was your third like as well, Paul?
Well, yeah, I great music, and it uses sound effects, and also that there's no speaking in it, even though they show characters, which I think is great because then it has universal appeal. Like anyone in any language can see this and get the same hope and adventure and sadness. And yes, universal. Every galaxy in the universe can watch this and get the same thing.
Not to mention they don't have to re-record the audio for different languages, so it's cheaper.
True, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was also my third like.
My third like for this is that it's kind of what y'all are saying. This is just a fun, adventurous opening. The music helps a lot. I do remember when I was first hearing about Chrono Trigger, which was, when I actually knew what it was, because I had a chance to buy the PlayStation PS1 version of it and thought, why would I want this? I don't even want to play Final Fantasy IV. I don't even know what this other Chrono thing is. Why would I care? I regret this decision because I didn't play it till the Nintendo DS.
Which is also a great port.
It's a better port than the PlayStation 1 version because you don't have the bad loading times.
And you get this intro, and it's
you do get
it's better than the original SNES. You get the intro, and there's more quests and everything.
The only problem with it is even though I did play it on DS, I think even at that point I was getting to where I didn't like playing RPGs on a handheld because there's too much staring at that little screen with holding the controllers. I can't do that for long periods of time and enjoy it myself. Not like I can like a game on a television. But Yeah.
That's-
That's where I was originally playing it, and I even remember that I really wish I had played this on on the PlayStation 1 version, and I'm kind of wishing they would re-release this on console, but I don't think they ever will, and that annoys me because apparently
so it's not available on Switch?
consoles?
It's on-
like Switch and stuff.
yeah, like Switch or PlayStation. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's on Steam, and I can play the Steam on my television screen, but I don't have. But it's not as convenient as if it was on like Switch or or a PlayStation 5 or whatever.
That's too bad. They would make. I would think they would make more money, but maybe it's legal issues.
There is a lot of legal issues because if you actually look at the copyright on this, it's ridiculous. Because you know how it's got so many big names in the game industry who have worked on it. They all hold a stake.
So divide it 3 ways.
You'd think, but for whatever reason, they don't want to pay royalties. And well, I think it was the DS version they actually got in trouble over because they didn't pay somebody, or they didn't get approval from somebody to release it because of the way Japanese copyright works.
Oh no!
And they had to pay like a big back fee for it, but which is why it took so long for the iOS, Android, and Steam versions to come out.
That makes sense why Chrono or any of the characters is never on any of the Rumble games or any of the racing games or whatever.
Yeah.
But even though that would
too
be
bad.
awesome to see him show up in like a Dragon Quest game.
Yes. Oh yeah, that'd be very cool.
Since it's that same art style.
Yeah.
But it's a very fun, adventurous opening to a very fun and adventurous game that I wish I'd played when it was easier to play. For me.
That makes sense.
I love the fun and adventurous tone is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
That's universal. So yeah.
In all galaxies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, though, we do have to come up with some dislikes for this.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
So I'm going to go first, actually, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I hate the way this thing actually ends.
What?
The ticking of the clock, or
what? It stops. At least on the YouTube video I saw, it stopped at a static image of the Chrono Trigger logo on a white background, and I'm like, and it seems like not even come in on like a note. It just is there, and like,
oh, okay.
Okay. I like yeah.
That's all you need. You just need the logo right there.
Literally, my first thought when I saw this was, it's like, this looks like the opening title screen for the American version. Like they had to throw the American logo on there, but they didn't have time. They couldn't pay to animate it back in where the old Japanese one was, so they cut the.
Maybe they
right
did.
There, except it's the same title in both Japanese and English.
Oh, really?
No.
Yeah.
So there's not an easy, smooth transition into the title.
There's no easy, smooth transition. I would have liked a fade transition or something into that instead of it being a
prompt boom,
a straight cut. But that's just me because I like the idea of
it doesn't follow the pacing leading up to it.
If even the animation part, even that had faded into the pixel animation of the clock going back and forth for the actual title screen, that would have been cool. But no, it's just a static shot right there. It's like, really? We went to the PowerPoint presentation at the end of this?
Well, here's the thing. So I'm looking at it right now, and they don't. It makes sense because I don't know what the ship is called that they travel through time.
Epoch?
The Epoch, or Epoch, yeah. It like bursts away. There's a flash of the engines, and that's what whites out to the screen. So it's not like I get that you might want to white out, but it's not like just all of a sudden you're in this beautiful setting and in white. There is a reason for it.
But for whatever reason, the way it hit me when I watched it was like, this looks like
it.
I didn't like it. It felt like I said, it felt like this was the North American version's opening. It's a title logo that they had to throw in at the very end, and it just doesn't fit as well with the rest of it. I don't know why. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. But I just wish there
crazy.
was. But this is my one dislike for that. That's like it could have been I don't know. it just didn't work as well for me.
Okay.
For the title screen. So and I'm nitpicking again. So
No, that's fine. I mean, something that didn't work well for me, that's kind of on that same level is, and this was probably a stylistic choice that I just didn't agree with, much like this for you, Drew. It seemed like this animation would keep going between like 30 frames per second, then 24, then sometimes even lower than 24, maybe 12. And I'm like, just can we be consistent? I don't know why we're changing and fluctuating throughout
I thought
this.
maybe it was the YouTube video you picked. I don't.
That could be too. I suppose that's possible. I watched this on YouTube.
I didn't notice much of what you're talking about with the frames changing, though. I think I did notice there was like it would go from animating on ones for some stuff to going to twos. Like
That's what I think he's talking about.
That's essentially what I'm talking about. Yes.
Yeah, and that's like, and that just depends on what they're doing. Maybe even what team was working on that one scene. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
Because I mean, stuff like the action scenes where they're doing the fighting, that makes sense. It would be on ones because you want that smooth. But then the stuff where they're like the camera sweeping around Marl as she's disappearing from time, that you don't need like that smooth ones on it because there's not as much physical action on screen.
Yeah. I get that.
But still, that's actually very close to my second dislike. So I'll just talk about that first. Is that I thought there were too many still shots in between all the action ones, and that felt disjointed. And I think these still shots that weren't actually still, they kind of like moved to the side from side to side or diagonal. And those were probably animated slower than the action ones, I would assume. But it gave an inconsistent and almost disjolting feeling to it. It wasn't consistently flowing.
It's like they're trying to fill time. Like there's this one moment where Luna's the mechanic, right? Luca is like working on something in her garage. Her like dad's sleeping in the background, which I think is a nice touch that you have her dad in the background sleeping. But it sort of like pauses, and then she finally like goes to do something, and then the screwdriver drops out of her mouth. But it's like there's this long like, what are we doing? Why are we just looking at you right now?
It's creating anticipation.
I will say, and granted, we're not. I know they did not design the characters for this opening because it's based on the designs Akira Toriyama did for the game. But I love how they gave Luca Bulma energy for that
she
scene.
did feel very Bulma-esque. Yes.
Yeah, is it just the cut hair? No,
it's just the way
character design.
The way her actions in those shots felt like this is Bulma. Even the stuff where she's jumping around in the future with Robo fighting all those zombie robot things, whatever they were.
Robot guys.
I thought, okay, I could see if Bulma actually did anything like that, and see, because she doesn't. She hasn't done anything fun like that since the first arc of Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
But I could see her doing that. It's like, wow.
Before she got her hair cut. Yeah.
Which time?
Oh, that's true.
She is the only character who changes character design pretty much every arc.
And that fits her character.
It fits her character, yeah. But this isn't Dragon Ball. We're talking about Chrono Trigger.
What?
Oh, yeah.
And yeah.
So we're back to Francisco?
We're back to Francisco, sorry.
Yeah, and this is my third. No, this is my second.
We're on second.
Yeah. And man. So this intro, it starts off with this music, these like ocean waves and this music box playing, and you go into this house. And how would I describe it? How would I describe this whole sequence? Paul, could you help me with this? How would I describe
Slow
this?
and boring.
Yes, that's it. Slow and boring. I'm like, who is looking at this picture of everyone? Where did they get this picture of everyone? Why are we just looking over the ocean? Just get into the cool action. I don't know why we're wasting all this time.
Yeah, it's like they had time to fill.
La, la. Yeah, exactly.
It's like you don't. Okay, you said. I am playing devil's advocate here.
Oh, here we go.
So you mentioned in your likes that you don't expect people to watch this on their first viewing. You expect most of the players for this to be their second time coming into the game, right?
Yes.
I think that's the thought process behind when they had going into this. Also, that opening is kind of like, here is someone's. I think it's Chrono, to be honest.
Okay.
Picking up the picture, seeing these friends of his, and then the rest is him thinking back on the adventures.
These are all his memories.
These are his memories.
He's looking at the photo, and then as action begins, these are all his memories on the quest.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then
That's my thoughts on it. But if you don't see it that way,
I feel like he should start out having more action-packed memories right off the bat. Then
stop looking at photos in real life and just like think and remember action stuff, dude.
So
you didn't want any story to this opening, okay?
No, because I don't. If this is supposed to be an attract scene or whatever you called it, Drew, I don't think this is very attractive. I think it's it's nice, but
like
it's
I
not.
Said, I call it that because that's what it evolved out of.
Okay,
even by when this game came out on the Super Nintendo, it's quote unquote attract screen on that. The original 16-bit one is. It's more like it's trying to attract you to it, but they already know you're playing this at home, not in an arcade. We don't really have to do much.
Yeah.
To get you to play this game. You've already bought it.
I mean, so this whole sequence, this whole mini sequence is about 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah.
They spend the first 30 seconds of this on this opening, like dun 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 dun. Just get to it, please. I mean,
but
if
I
you
like
want
how
to
it
spend
starts
10
out,
seconds on this, fine, but just get to it. Please.
I like how it starts out at like the game starts out with the seagulls and everything. So that's exactly how the game starts.
Really?
So you think, oh, this is an animated version of the game. Oh, no, it's just somebody looking at a photo.
I guess it's been so long since I played the game. I don't remember the game starting that way. Okay. I remember the tick-tocking. I remember when you get into the game,
once you actually go in and you name your character and then you go in, it actually starts with the seagulls flying over.
That's one. Then I think that's great. Leave that in. The seagulls are done at 10 seconds in, so go into it. Be done with the seagulls. Have them, one of them fly at the camera,
so
and
none
then
of
the
this
epoch
photo
flies
looking
out
at
or something.
stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I will admit that the whole looking slowly past each person in the photograph does take a while, and it's not quite necessary. It would have been better had we just had him look at the photo and it kind of zoom in with the words, then tell you the words Chrono Trigger coming up in the bottom right-hand corner. And then you have the lavos come in or go out and have the epic fly in, which I have to say I do like that. And I know I'm throwing in more likes here. That those actually kind of match how the angles used in the game for those things, the Mode 7 stuff. So I don't know, just throwing that stuff in there.
Yeah, but that's my second.
That
dislike.
is actually very similar to what I had as my first dislike.
Oh,
actually,
okay.
And that is. Drew, you mentioned of it starting out with looking at the photos and then building memories. That's almost like a story there. My dislike is something that I stole from Francisco here when we review Monty Python and the Holy Grail, is that this is an incomplete story. In fact, there's no plot here.
Yeah.
So that's my dislike. There is, so I don't even know how this counted in the first place as a short because there's no story here, but I think it would have been, so Drew, you saying that, it's pictures and remembering, that's at least something. That's a good start, but I wish it was more to that.
Yeah, I'll admit that's more of my rationalization than anything else, but yeah.
Yeah, I guess I can't disagree with you, Paul, that this isn't really a story. It's more of a collection of scenes that sort of remind you or preview what the movie is. I guess
well done.
I guess in a way it's a trailer, but even a lot of trailers will have a story element.
It's almost like an attract screen or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I will say it is better than the original 16-bit opening if you've ever watched that one. But
isn't that where the clock comes in?
Yeah.
No. If you wait on that screen for a little while, it will go to another opening, like you know how Super Mario RPG has that opening sequence where it's showing off all the characters. It's kind of like that, except it's showing different scenes from the game, and it eventually goes,
I don't remember that. It's been so long since I played it on the original SNES.
Yeah, originally go to a black screen and say, oh, it's produced by so and so and so and so, and written by so and so and so and so, and then back to doing more things to the same music, but in a 16-bit version of it. It is cool. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, this is a much better version of the.
Yeah, I was about to say this sounds like a much better version.
Yeah, it's one we watch is much better than that one because at least they aren't. One of the things I didn't like about that, and even though we're not talking about that one, is when they do the fight scenes, the actual
the gameplay
ATB battle system messages at the bottom of the screen were coming up. I was like, don't show me that in this mode. You're just supposed to be advertising this game to me. I don't need to know that this thing is called Flea.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna push back a little bit on this, Paul. Though, as I've
I stole this from you. How dare you push back on yourself? But okay, go for it. I push back on you on this all the time. So now it's.
I think everybody does.
Yeah. So it's only fair. Welcome to our side, Francisco. Tell me more.
I think that sometimes in games, you'll have, and I think Dragon Quest is a big culprit of this, where there's almost a complete movie or story that happens before you even get to the title screen of whatever the actual game is. And so I'm glad in this case that it just gives you some, other than that first 30 seconds, gives you like this very quick taste for all the adventures that you're going to go on, sets it up really well. And you could just get right into it, as opposed to 10, 20, 30 minutes of story, which may be great, but it's just like, I bought a game. I'd like to play a game, please.
So kind of like when you play Super Ghouls and Ghosts, also that came out on the Super Nintendo. They have this little mini story about how the princess is kidnapped, and sometimes you're like, I know princess kidnapped. Let's just go with the game. Let's go.
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like that one's not that long. But
it's not that long, but you still have to sit through and watch it.
Actually, the sequence that came to my mind was the beginning of Final Fantasy 6/3, depending on how you want to number them, and you have that long period of those Magitech armors walking through the snow.
Yes.
It's like, while the credits play, it's like, you know what, this is cool and all, and it's very memorable. This is not a 2024 game where you have 30 minutes of movie before the actual gameplay. I shouldn't need to have time to eat my dinner at the beginning during the opening sequence of this game.
At least give me a tutorial through it. Gosh.
Yeah, that's actually Metal Gear Solid. I seem to remember did really well, where they made the first part. You are sort of getting adjusted to the controls, but it still feels like the opening to a movie. I feel like that's done it the best. Of like have a game, but have it feel cinematic at the beginning.
That even has like opening sequence playing while you're actually playing the game.
Yeah, which is great. I think that's done very well.
Best of both worlds.
Exactly.
So yeah, that was my second, but also my first dislike.
My second dislike for this is where was I going with that? While I do like that it's kind of a clip show kind of a feel, it feels, even though I know it's all freshly animated, I don't know. I kind of like y'all were saying, I wish there was more story in this. I wish it made sense why we were switching from, if you are approaching this game for the first time, because there are always new players to every release of a game when it's new. I should be able to watch this and go, oh, all that looks cool, and not be going, what does any of this have to do with anything? I don't even know what this game's about. I assume there's time travel involved because of the word chrono in the beginning of it and chronography.
Isn't this skippable? So like if it's your first time through, you can easily skip this, so you don't even need to bother.
But you may think, oh, I should watch this so I have context for what I'm going to do.
Oh, I see. Well, obviously 10 seconds into it, the birds are still, after the birds are chirping and these characters come across, you're like, okay, whatever, skip.
Right. But my thought is, it's like, you should still be setting this up like it's somebody's first time playing the game. I love that it's memories of this game, and that's the thought process. I love that as from a critic's point of view, but from a player point of view,
Yeah, first time player point of view. Yeah.
Going into it's like, I feel like this is meant to be bringing me nostalgic thoughts and memories, and it's doing none of that. Plus, from what I do remember playing the game, I hate that they show Marl disappearing in the time stream in this opening, because it's like, that's an important plot point. That's a spoiler. I even if I don't know who she is, I will probably be able to figure out that she's I probably figure out which one of these 16-bit sprites is hers when the game starts.
Yeah.
Especially when she's in her wedding or her princess dress. You get to that point. Why the spoilers in this opening? Granted, like I said, it's because it's memories.
It's a cool scene.
And it's a cool scene. Don't get me wrong, but it's like,
save it for that point in the game, then, not at the beginning.
Yeah. I guess that in many ways is why all the other anime-esque ones actually do a anime opening sequence.
So there's no spoilers.
So they don't spoil anything. But even though I guess I'm kind of wanting out of both hands, or whatever the term is.
Sure. I want my cake and I want to eat it too.
Exactly. I don't know. I just wish it's like they had somehow found a way to show off these characters and even show off memories to the people who are going to remember what this is, but still keep it vague enough that if you're watching it for the first time and you're about to start playing the game, you're not sitting there going, "Oh, I know what's going to happen in the next half hour of this gameplay."
Yeah. Well, you got a better memory than I do, but I get it. And you know what I wish? I wish that this was available in HD. Like, this is so pixelated from the original re-release. I cannot find a proper HD transfer. It is. Transfer, thank you. And apparently this looks like it was cell hand-drawn animated, so it should be. I can't find any like images that are like copies of cells or anything like that. This would be great to see a full HD or even 4K, which apparently can be done, but maybe it can no longer be done, because who knows what happened to those cells. Knowing how Japan does its archival, which is almost not, it may be impossible, like you said, but the other issue it may be is depending on how much money they were saving and how much they were copying the GT method, since that one was edited on videotape. That may be next to them. It may be stuck at that particular. Well, even the original Dragon Ball, like, DVDs look better than this.
Yeah, I agree. The orange bricks, which are notoriously bad in terms of their color, their fixes that Funimation did with the colors and all, looks better than this does. I will agree with you there.
Yeah. In terms of that is my last dislike. I wish that we could get a proper, because this looks amazing, but it looks low quality. Any version that we see, no matter what game it comes out with or whatever, it would be great to see this in its beautiful art that I think was meant to be seen, because it looks stunning.
It looks like it still has its PlayStation 1 compression on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which, admittedly, all of Square's Final Fantasy cutscenes still look like that too, even in the HD versions.
Yeah, exactly. Because I have the HD version on my iPad, and it has that it looks worse than 480p. It's so pixelated. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about, guys. I see on YouTube it says 1080 HD.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's
an HD upgrade. It's I even have the 4K upgrade, and you know what? It looks crappy.
Actually, I am surprised when I was looking on YouTube for this, that there wasn't like a AI 4-scale upres.
Not yet. 60 frames per second. Yeah.
Like on every other old classic video I try to find.
Yeah, because when you click on it, it's disappointing.
Yes. But I say, did Francisco already give his third dislike?
I don't
think so. I skipped ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so Francisco, what's your third dislike?
My third dislike. I said how this is I know I realize the resolution's not great, but still beautiful animation, beautiful music. It just makes me so frustrated that this never was turned into an anime. Give me an anime of this, please.
It's worse than you think, because an anime did come out.
What?
But it is not in this style.
Well, then that's
it's
crap.
horrible. Yeah.
You're not talking about Chrono Crusade, are you?
No, that's a different one with the angel.
I thought that was entirely different.
No. There's one called Chrono Trigger that came out in Japan that has some of the characters, but the style is not the same, and the plot isn't. Yeah.
I need Akira Toriyama's Bird Studio and Toei Animation to please.
Oh yeah.
With a full. Just take you don't have to change anything about the story. You just take the story and you make it an anime. That's all you have to do. Make it.
This would be amazing as a movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I'm fine. I'll take a movie. I feel like a series would do it more justice.
Oh, sure.
I was
like,
to do a movie. I'll take a movie. I'll take whatever. I just want a full thing of this whole story in this beautiful animation with the original music, or maybe have the hire what's his name, Yasunori, to make something some remasters or new score. But I just hate that there isn't nothing like that.
This would be the first Square Enix property I wish they just make an anime of.
Yes, exactly. I mean, the game's great. I mean, I want to go back and play the game even more after we covered it on the podcast, because of all the things that I wasn't aware that there were to experience it that way. But yeah, I would just love to experience this as an anime movie or an anime series. So it's so sad to me that that's not a thing.
So in 1996, they came out with a 16-minute episode that features some of the monsters and characters from this. Again, not in the same style. It's an OVA. It's the closest thing that we got, and it's terrible.
Yeah, then
it's not worth your time.
I believe it.
That's probably why they only made one 16-minute episode.
The problem is, this came out in 1996, so this was a couple years before this what we're reviewing came out. So as soon as this came out, that should have been like used to be the seed of like, okay, we can make a series out of this.
Yes,
especially
exactly.
Since the PlayStation 1 release in Japan was being put out because they were finally making the sequel Chrono Cross.
Yeah.
This was meant as to let people know, remember, hey, here's what happened. Here's the old game. Go play it.
Right.
Even though they're not that connected that much from what I've told.
I was about to say, it's more of a side story.
Only like one of the characters actually is in both games.
Yeah.
So I think it's the Dark Elf, whatever his name is.
Not Morbius,
Magnus or something like that.
That's it. Yeah.
I think he's the only one that's in both, but I don't know. I didn't play Chrono Cross because I didn't finish Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, fair. So that was my last dislike.
My last dislike for this, and admittedly, I am kind of reaching on this.
What are you reaching for, Drew?
A dislike, I think.
Yeah, I am reaching for a dislike, and I think I am going to have to go with how this has not been. This short has not been properly maintained over the years.
Yeah,
kind of tell that every time they've pulled this for a new game, they are having to crank up some old hard drive back in archival storage next to where the actual game code for the original Kingdom Hearts game is, which they have lost, by the way.
Oh wow!
Because the HD re-releases, they actually had to program from scratch.
Oh wow! Because
they had lost pretty much everything there, which is amazing when you realize how close it actually is to that original game. But that's beside the point. This thing is so crunchy in terms of quality, and I almost can see the dithering that PlayStation 1 would have put on this.
Oh yeah!
In order to save on memory on the color space, to where it would look good on a CRT screen.
Yeah.
Where we're all looking at it on 4K HD LCD screens with more megapixels than they ever remember having.
Yeah.
And it's just such a shame that, Toei Animation probably has the original back in their vault somewhere, and they probably can't even be bothered to go back and look for it.
That's sad.
Yeah.
And I think that would address what you were talking about, Francisco, like that moment where Luca was just like pausing. I think Like if you were able to see this in all its glory, like you could probably see her breathe or even think, you know, because this animation company
it feels like there's like more here,
right? That we're not. Yeah, there's details that we are missing, is what it feels like.
Gotcha.
See, my first thought when I was looking at this is like, okay, this is TV anime level of quality, but I watched the short 2 or 3 times.
Yeah,
and underneath all the video compression and resolution issues, I got to realizing this might be actual movie quality animation.
Some of the scenes feel that way. Yeah,
unfortunately is lost amongst all the downsides of having to cram this on a CD with all these other scenes, and then have the 16-bit game on top of it, plus whatever emulation they would have had to do to make this play on a PlayStation, since it would have been the game code would have been designed for Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
At a time when these were like next door neighbors. So I mean, this was actually, even though the CD could hold it, I mean, it's still a lot of beside the point.
Yeah.
I just wish this looked better than it does.
Absolutely.
That's the frustrating thing. It does look better than we are seeing it, and we're not able to see it.
Yeah, in 2024, we should be able to see we should be able to see fingerprints on the cells.
There we go.
And we can't see them.
That's right. Can you imagine if they made this into a movie? Like if they got their rights in order and had this kind of quality?
What's weird is that Chrono Cross does not have all the rights problems that Chrono Trigger
But no one cares about Chrono Cross.
Well, for good
unfortunately, or I shouldn't say unfortunately, there are some fans of Chrono Cross.
And they did just get like a big HD re-release of Chrono Cross, along with stuff we didn't originally get in America when that game came out over here.
Yeah,
I don't really know much because I didn't play it, but
there was hype that if that did well, then Chrono Trigger would be next. But no, that's just all rumor because, like Drew said, there's so many rights.
There's so many rights issues. It's the same problem. I know how much Francisco loves Earthbound, but it's the same reason that Mother 3, the sequel to Earthbound, is never going to come out either. There's just too many people.
Shucks.
There's just too many people involved and too much work that would have to be done to make it work.
We'll get Steven Spielberg in there to figure it all out, you know.
That's why you need a new in this age when Final Fantasy VII can get a remake, at least in 2 games. We don't know if it's going to end up being a 3rd yet. We ought to be able to get a Chrono Trigger remake.
Yeah,
but sure seems like it. But
lawyers,
stinking lawyers.
Exactly.
Anyway, that brings us to the end of that review. What are y'all rating this? Start with Francisco, since this is his pick.
Yeah. I don't know if we spent longer on the dislike or the likes on that one.
Yeah. I can't say it's perfect, especially with that opening sequence that's so slow, and I honestly don't care as much as you guys with the overall quality and being able to see it, and I think that'd be beautiful to see it that much, but that doesn't sway me as much.
So you're saying that aside?
That aside, I think I'm going to give it an 8.5.
Wow.
I think I'm going to get 8.5. I want to give it a 9 so badly, but I just feel like it doesn't do quite enough. I think if it was just marginally better in a little bit, and of course, if this is the actual series, it'd be a 10 like immediately. But no.
Yeah. No. Cool. Well, okay, I'll do what Francisco did and because putting away like it doesn't look as good as we know it should look. Putting that aside, let's say if it did.
Yeah.
I'm also going to throw in the other cut scenes and then the ending scene because then that kind of makes a complete story, especially if you played the game. If I put all those together and considered that a short, which is arguable.
At that point, you're looking at what, an hour?
No, not even. It's less than 15 minutes, I think.
Really? Okay, I wasn't sure.
It's not that much. Yeah.
And man, I would love an hour's worth of this kind of stuff. I was gonna say an 8.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the lack of the story and the lack of the man, the compression is really. I know I said throw it out, but man,
It's hard.
against your eyes, it's hard to watch sometimes.
That kind of to put it in perspective, if you've ever gone back to Sonic CD where they have that opening animated opening sequence, that Toei Animation did for that, and it looks so much better in those new releases than this does in terms of quality, in terms of video quality.
Yeah, I want to give it a 6, but it deserves better than that, so I'm gonna stick with an 8.
Fair. How about you, Drew?
I am going to give it a 7.5, and I'm going to also admit part of the reason I'm going so low is because I've never gone back and refinished this game, so a lot of the scenes I'm seeing in here don't mean as much to me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Some of them do, but some of them don't. And I do wish that the quality of the video, of course, was better, but that's neither here nor there. So for me, a lot of this is I have no context for what's actually going on. That's why I kind of latch onto I'm seeing somebody else's memories, but only half of them do I recognize.
It would be nice if they had some sort of transition between each scene to actually make a story, you know?
Yeah, that would be
something
nice.
I could latch onto a little more than, okay, yeah, we're seeing somebody's memories. And so admittedly, since I don't have the nostalgia, a lot of the scenes don't mean as much to me, so I'm giving it a 7.5.
And also some of the scenes, we didn't talk about this, but it felt like there's this one bridge scene after this T-Rex comes out where you have Chrono Robo and Jungle Girl, I think, and I'm like, I don't think you had those characters at that point, but maybe this is the New Game Plus stuff that you could go back and replay that.
Except I don't know if I have no idea if the New Game Plus even lets you have characters that weren't in that part of the story.
Yeah.
Do you know, Paul?
Off the top of my head, I would think no.
I would think they wouldn't either. So
that part was confusing as well.
Unless that's like a secret boss that you could go back to that point in time.
I was about to say, that might be a different part in the game because you have to go back there a couple times at different points in the story. But I think it was during the second time where you did have Robo, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But yeah, okay, so 7.5 for you.
Yeah, 7.5 for me, which brings us to the end of our review. So yeah, join us on our next episode, which will be with Nate Marchand of the Monster Island Film Vault, where we're going to be looking at a Superman short called The Ice Giant, which from the thumbnail I saw, looks like it's going to be Superman versus Godzilla.
Is that the Fleischer Superman?
I believe it is the Fleischer, and this does predate Godzilla, but that is what he chose for this, so that's going to be a fun one, I think. Before we get into the shameless self-promotion for y'all, is there anything y'all want to say?
Yeah, technical. Isn't it called the Arctic Giant?
Might be the Arctic Giant. I just have it written as the way he has it written.
Okay, yeah, that's the Fleischer one.
Yeah,
came out in 1942. It's called the Arctic Giant. Jeez, Nathan, I thought you were like detailed oriented and stuff.
Wow.
No, he really is.
Yeah, he is. I'm surprised I get away with speaking on that show as little as I actually know. But yeah, is there anything else y'all wanted to say before we get into the shameless self-promotion?
Yeah, well, I want to say congratulations to Jacob and Ashley. Happy wedding. Wishing you joy, love, and happiness on your wedding day and as you begin your new life together. Sincerely, Francisco Ruiz.
Well, you just stole what I was going to say. But honestly, Jacob and Ashley, I pray that God bless you on your wedding day and for all the years of your marriage. May laughter echo through your halls, and may you be quick to forgive.
All right. Then why don't y'all go ahead and tell us where we can find y'all.
Seriously, though, congratulations, Jacob and Ashley. That's really happy for you guys.
Said pauljpowers.com.
Yeah, well, tell us about pauljpowers.com, pauljpowers.com.
Yes, you can go to pauljpowers.com where I have all my social media links, find out what I'm doing there. You can even find the Retro Rewind podcast, where Francisco and I are rewind to review movies and video games that are 15 years or older, find out if they're still worth revisiting today. And you might even hear some familiar voices like Drew and Jacob.
Yes, we're on a couple. We're on a couple of those.
Yeah,
indeed. I'll say that we have the closest we've come to covering a Tex Avery cartoon is his little cameo in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which we covered at retrorewiндpodcast.com/35, I want to say. Quite some time ago.
Yeah.
And we did cover Chrono Trigger at... Yeah, you know, this game, Chrono Trigger. Have you heard of it, Paul?
What? Well, maybe it's a game.
Maybe it's a game.
But we covered that at retrorewiндpodcast.com/267 if you want to listen to our full review of Chrono Trigger. But yeah, check out us all out. Check all of us out there at retrorewiндpodcast.com. Like Paul said, reviewing movies and games that are 15 years or older. And I'll also plug a game I'm currently in the middle of design called Junkyard Juggernauts. It's a card/board game where you're trying to construct a juggernaut or a magic-fueled mech from cards in a pile, and then you're going to go and take on the warlord to win the game. But you can find out more about that at junkyardjuggernauts.com.
You say he's the warlord. Are you sure he's not the Roy Lord?
Yes, I am sure. There's no Roy Lord in the manual.
I don't know.
I haven't read the manual yet.
Yeah, that's the only reason. Hey, I'm just saying, if you ever do give a name to this character, the warlord, I will. If you name him Roy, I will not feel bad.
Hey,
it doesn't have to be an official name.
And if people want to know more about Roy, what episode should they listen to the Retro Rewind podcast for?
If you want context for where Roy comes from,
it will be the first context we've ever given on this show, since we always call Francisco Roy when we talk about him.
Then go to retrorewiндpodcast.com/258 for a quickly down under review.
That was a fun episode.
Yeah, Drew was for it.
Drew was on it with us.
So yeah, there's some familiar voices there for you.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, thank y'all once again for joining us, and thank you guys for joining us, for joining me on this.
Yeah, absolutely.
To give to give Jacob some time off before while he and Ashley are getting ready for marital life together. Mm-hmm. In the meantime, this has been Drew.
And this has been pauljpowers.com.
And this has been Francisco Ruiz.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
You can follow Jacob on his Facebook at Jacob B. Heron. His Facebook page, Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where he tries to draw each and every day. His Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. His Twitter at Jacob Heron. And his letterboxd at Jacob Heron. You can find Drew on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. His Facebook page, Drew's Photobin, to see his photography. His letterboxd page at GGeorge759. His Twitter at GGeorge759. And Instagram at Drew Dodgen. You can like us on Facebook at the Cellcast Podcast. On Twitch at the Cellcast Gaming. On YouTube at Cellcast. On Twitter at cast_cell. The Cellcast can be found at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts are downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us, and also on Podchaser. Email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. The Cellcast is a proud member of both the Pop Americana and Culture Box media networks. For more information, please see the link in the description. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. And remember, that's Cell with a single L.